Battery exhausted, she says. I'm fucking exhausted. Well, it's time for part 2. Video number 2 of this SG abomination that we're making. Sammy's SG. I've done a bit of preliminary sanding. You've all seen that in the last video, I think. I'm all out of sorts. Who gives a shit? Little Dave's pointing in the right spot. I'm not going to look at Little Dave again. Triggered. We've got our beautiful body blank. Everything's looking rather pretty there. I don't need to touch that for a minute. We'll come back to the body blank. How's everyone been? Comment below. How are you? What's going on? I've got to get some preliminary bits done on this net. Of course I have. I've got to whip this through the sander and get everything touched up. Touchy. Thank you. We've got to cut a quick truss rod out. Spoke wheel for the win. And then I'm going to get that glued on. We don't have to be too specific because it's a fender style neck. We can just whop it on. And then at the end of the video, we'll come back and do some bits and bobs and wiggle through it. We're gonna cut some carves. I've figured out a way of doing SG carves that are supposed to be a little bit quicker. It's fucking terrifying. Stick around. It's something that you can try if you don't value your fingers. But anyway, quick sanding montage. Ready? That's the new transition that people seem to like. Oh, fucking mental, innit? Right, one little interlude before we go on any further. Obviously, we've got a spoke wheel truss rod. Everything's in here, all right? That's all lovely jubbly, lovely and flush. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. This is a jazzy shaped neck. Oh, it's a bit unusual. It's got a rounded end. With that spoke wheel in, yet again, I can't fuck around with that once it's glued on. So I am going to rough cut this fretboard. This lovely black fretboard. I'll get it pretty much dimensioned. I'm going to glue this on and I'm literally just going to profile the end with the router. Not the whole thing. No need to do any of that. I don't want to have to fuck around with having to locate it with pins and all that sort of stuff. Don't need to do that at the minute. We can do that later on. I've got a choice. I can either cut this fretboard perfectly, sit it on here, locate it so that when we glue it, it's in place. I don't like that method because a little bit of tweakage. Tweakage, I don't think tweakage is a word. It sounds a bit sexy, so we'll go with that. I don't like that technique. I'm going to get it rough cut with a mil extra, but I am going to get the end right because that's going to push against the spoke wheel truss rod. We can position that fine, much easier, and then we'll just glue the bastard down. The bastard! Obviously, I've sanded one side, so we've got a really good surface for gluing. Just so you know what I'm fucking doing in the montaggio. Right, just in time for lunch yarn, store that upside down so that the glue doesn't drip all the way down, then we can just use the profile router, logic, plonk this down, and then we are on for the terrifying bit. See you momentarily. Okay, now for the meat and potatoes of the video, the exciting part. Let's clear down, because I was supposed to do this before I went and ate Weetabix for lunch. Fat fuck. So we've got our body blank. But that doesn't look like an SG, does it? Not very much at all. This does look like an SG. Well, we can cut out the shapes. That's easy, isn't it? The carves on the SG are the time consumer. There are several ways. If you're just making your own, well, you get out Senor Shinto and the Issey Miyake, whatever the fuck that one's actually called. I've got no idea. Wakanda, the Wakanda file. And you can go around or you can carve all your carves and do all your bits and bobs, card scrapers, sanders. Laborious. I find that laborious. I thought there must be an easy way. This is a template world. We use templates for fucking everything. This is what I've discovered. Prepare yourself to be terrified. So, twatting around with my laser cutter. There's an SG template. Brilliant. Easy, right? Piece of piss. That is the template for the carved part. Carved? Don't know what happened there. Balls dropped. That is the template for the carved part. You can see there, it kind of lines up with the bevels a little bit. those actually work together, centre lines line up, and I've left some holes in, and you can see the gist of the carve, the gist of it. So I thought, that's easy, we can make a template. Are you still with me? I thought, that's a piece of piss, we can make a template. Well, I also know that guitar manufacturers use stuff that's off the shelf, and chamfer bits come in 45 and 30mm chamfers, generally. So I bought myself 30mm chamfer. Woo! You cannot buy I can't find one. If you know where there is one, fucking tell me. You cannot find a 30mm chamfer bit with a bearing on the top rather than a below, which I think is a bit of a ball bag. Not happy about that. I also cannot find a bearing, and I've been window shopping and internet shopping, and I've been on the dark web, all sorts, but that's another matter. You can't find a bearing which has got the same outside diameter as a fucking bit, 31mm, and a 6.35mm inner. So how do I fucking make that work with that? Because I want that to follow me template. And yeah, can you see where I'm going with that? I'm explaining myself through the rage. So I've had to make some washers on my laser cutter. It's my new favourite toy, honestly. That is what we would call a bush. Yeah, not a big 70s bush. I've basically got a teeny tiny washer that goes on there that I've had made 6.35, that's by 20mm. And then on goes me bearing, fucking terrifying. And then another washer on top to stop everything from moving around. Now I've got a guide bush, which is basically ready to explode. But anyway, that's going in my router. I'll squeeze it up to the chuck that keeps everything nice and tight, and then that will follow a bigger pattern. I've done one on a test piece, not the cod piece. Wait, this might go down as the worst explanation ever done on the tube. So there's my pattern. I made a fat one. Right, now I can't miss that with me bearing. When I screw that down and I follow around, it gives me fucking carves. It works. It's not perfect, and it's gonna need a little bit of fettling. What doesn't? It's not great on the inner horns, so I'm gonna have to manualize them. Nurse Gladys Emmanuel. So I'm happy to give it a fucking twat on that, which is a lot of work and a lot of hours and a lot of, yeah, you know what's gone into that. So let's yap through it. We'll just cut the cameras a set. I've got to change my bandsaw blade because it is just absolutely hammered. And I cut through a screw the other day with it, so now it don't do straight lines, which is not great. So we'll do that, and then we'll come back and we'll waffleize. And by the end of the video, we should have an SG body cut out of that resembles that. But obviously mine's a bit fatter. Not a lot fatter, just a bit fatter. It's going to resemble that. That should be a bit of a winner. And then we'll look at cutting some holes in it and stuff. Easy in it, really. But I'm going to have to film it in a two-part scenario because I need to have my neck blank done, at least cut to size and shape, so that we can do a neck pocket, and then we'll set everything else out to that. That's the goal. Neck pocket first, get everything lining up. We've got things to be lining. We'll get all that lovely. Once the neck pocket's in and fixed and screwed in to an SG, bastard, I know. Once we've done that, we can figure out all the rest of the guffage. We're inventing a lot of words today, and I'm fucking waffling. It's a talking head video. You've come to watch guitar building. Right, I've got my ears in, so I'm talking a little bit weird. Sorry about that. Got the second template on. It's going to show us the curves. Let's go over there and we'll try the homemade router bit with bits I've added on with wood and stuff. Say a prayer if that's what you like doing. Bit of non-slip. Gotta have a bit of non-slip in your life. There she goes.
Are you ready, kids?
Unbelievably, that worked. Not particularly well. I've lost the cover to the bearing. Don't know where that went. I'll shit it out later probably. So that bearing's a bit fucked, but I did buy two. Everything kind of fell apart. We need a little bit of love now with the Shinto, but I've carved out 90% of the carves, front and back. We've carved them out 90%. In fact, it's a bit cleaner on the back. The carves are a little bit smaller than on the Epiphone body I've got here, but I think that's fine. They work quite nicely. I've just got to sort out a bearing to take that, or find a bearing bit. I heard Texas Toast say that they know someone that did this, so I've got to figure out how the fuck they did that. I probably need to get a bearing that goes inside the other bearing so it fits. Oh fuck, waffle, shut up Paul. So I'm gonna have a good clean up now, and then I'm gonna come back and we're just gonna touch up these carves and make this body look a little bit more spankaroony. That's not bad for a crack. Anything that makes a job fucking easier, that's what I'm looking for.
Wait a minute.
Not necessarily easier, that sounds lazy, which is part true. More consistent, repeatable, quicker. That's what I'm aiming at all the time. Someone says I want an SG, I want the process dialed in, so I can go, lovely, let's do that. I want to spend 25 hours, not 35 hours, making the fuck pig. Fuck pig, went out of a girl called that once. Might not leave that in the edit. I'll see you after a tidy up. It's time for a coffee. I've got a fucking pounding frontal lobe. So you can see after I've had a little tidy up, there's just a couple little spots that haven't quite worked. Bit of love needed. I'm not going to go mental with a sander, but we have got some nice detail on the top here, on my horns. So I'm just going to finish that off with a file. Fucking exciting, isn't it? Incidentally, that weighs 1 kilo more than this Epiphone body blank. I'm always trying to get a body blank under 1.7 kilo because I like light guitars. Oh, heavy guitars are better, they're more resonant. You can feel the earth move beneath your fingers. This is going to get routed out for a strap trem, which takes a little bit out the back. I'm going to surface mount my two humbuckers and put them in with grommets rather than mount from underneath. Because I don't like doing that when I've got strap trem routes. It's a bit awkward and it looks a bit clumsy underneath. And also, when you put strap trems in, I like to not have a cover on it. I think it looks, I want to see it. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit more raw. I'll make a cover, maybe. Or make that up as we go along. But yeah, so we're going to have a strap trem, don't forget, routed out here. And then what I'm going to do is I will do an oversized route for my control cavity bits and bobs. And then if I need to, we'll see what we're like for weight then. If we need to, I'll do another matching one at the top. For underneath here, this is the walnut left over from my neck blank. So I will probably put, don't know what to do with that yet. I made me fucking mind up, have I? We'll make that up as we go along. So in the meantime, let's get rasping. I'm not going to rasp. I'm going to use a metal file to not try to sound like my kids. That vexes people. That's a proper shitty term, innit? I'm really vexed. But I'm going to use metal files. And why? Because they're very, very gentle when you're using them on wood. They leave me a nice crispy finish. Right, so the hardest thing when we're doing this is basically because we're going through two different types of finish. It's very fucking serious, isn't it? Two different types of finish. We got to get that line super, super crispy, which is why I wanted to use the router, because it gives me a nice uniform curve. And we've kind of achieved it. I think the technique needs refinement, shall we say? Just needs a little bit of refinement so that we're not killing each other with bits of bearing falling off everywhere. But I am going to research that, and I'm going to come up with some sort of template set. I'm going to come up with a full SG template set, which has got all of this. And I'm going to source fucking bearings that you can put on a router bit and make this work, because it makes it so much easier, doesn't it? I'm going home now, incidentally. It's 10 to 4 and I'm walking today. It takes me an hour. Because I'm trying to be thin, because I'm getting old. And it's hard to be thin when you're fucking old. Your body just goes, expand.
That is true.
There's people outside wondering what the fuck I am on about. Friday tomorrow. I like a Friday. Do you know why? 1 o'clock. Quim. Right, so to finish you all off, which is, you can take that however you want to take it. It's on me. To finish you all off, we're just going to go through some of the pitfalls of making templates yourself by drawing around guitars and also mixing up and matching different styles, all right? Because this is a bastard of an SG, not the first I've made. This is the Epiphone SG body that we've nicked things from, all right? When you do that, your templates are never perfect, right? It doesn't matter though, because you're making a custom guitar. If I was mass producing this stuff, you'd have to really nail it down, which is what the laser cutter's for. Oh, spaff. Oh. There's a few things that make this awkward for me. I've done a few bits off camera in the interest of just reserving the last few remaining brain cells that most of us have got. The considerations of this guitar, I've got to line up me purple stripe. Of course I have, right? That's got to be lined up beautifully. So I've clamped my neck in place. You can see where my body is not quite spot on there. So we've got some manual sanding. Again, this is a custom instrument. It doesn't really matter. We're fine on that side. I remember when I made the template for that, I deliberately left things a little bit big because it gave me a bit of a scope for a wobble. You've got to think ahead, which I know I don't look like a fucking thinker, but I put a little bit of time in, just a bit. I'm in ever such a good mood today. We're mixing up different styles. I'm just making sure Dave's got what we're doing here. And we've got a trem going in, all right? So I'm having to use Strat templates. I can't use the Strat neck template. I don't like using them anyway. We do things individual. Because this is actually, it's a Strat layout with trem, but it's a Jazzmaster thickness neck. I like the 43mm nut. It just gives you a little bit more space on my meat fists. It just gives you a bit more space up this end, doesn't it? Up there. Dispense with the commentary, Paul. Oh, cut the funny act, wanker. Remember when someone commented that? Fuck you. I am clamped in. The reason I've clamped this in is because I've got to clamp it down to line up my stripes. We've got to be extra critical. If my stripes are 1/2 mil off, then I'm 1/2 mil off, and that's shit in it. We've got a centre ruler on here. I've done all this off camera, but I'll show you what I've done. I'll lay me centre ruler on. Technical as fuck. And then I'm just checking that my neck is parallel. 31.7 with my old man eyes. 31.4, 0.3 of a mil. I think we can live with that. Can you live with that? You're gonna have to live with that. It is 75mm, balls deep, just like a Strat. So I'm gonna have to custom carve this little piece in here, PRS style, thank you Mr. Reed Smith, and just give ourselves an extra bit of spaffage in there to get the chubby digits in. But that's not a problem. I've set that to that distance so that I can then come in and use this template, line up that line there, and use this template. Use this fucking template, you bastard. We haven't had Australian yet, have we? Hi Corey, hi Aaron. I've got Australian friends. How the fuck did that happen? Remember, we've got humbuckers. I'll put them in individually. Did learn something interesting about positions of humbuckers. I'll go through that in a little while. But for now, how do we cut out this neck pocket perfectly? Because it's got to be tight. I've cut my strips. You've seen these before. These are going to get stuck down, and then this one here, I've had to custom shape. I've done that off camera because I'm fucking solid. And that one goes in there, tight to that one, and you can see that it's going to give me a perfect router template to run through with a smaller radius router bit, a 9mm radius pattern bit, and that's going to give me a lovely bit of choppage in it. Should look quite sweet. I think I'm going to direct mount the humbuckers into inserts on this one, like top mount. I like the aggressive look. I do like coming from underneath. On the Tankman guitar, it was all mounted from underneath, and it's quite busy. It just looks nice, and it's easy because I haven't got to make a fucking cover plate. Control cavity naturally will be done with the whatnots. That doesn't make any sense. I'm waffling for fucking England. I haven't had any breakfast this morning. Didn't have any milk in the workshop, so I turned up, couldn't have me Weetabix, bastard. So I'm waiting for Luncheon. I'm gonna have to go and get some salad from Lydell's. Got recognised in Lydell's the other day by a young man with curly hair. I didn't take your fucking name, but nice to meet you, mate. It's still a bit weird being recognised in public, and my son thinks it's fucking horrendous. Speedy montage, ready? Back on the bench. That was quick and easy, wasn't it? Just a little bit of friction, lovely. Now I've got that figured out, and I'm all square and central, which I've checked. I won't show you that I've checked it because I might have fucked it up, but it'll be a secret that we are lovely and lined up on the back. That is looking handsome. Handsome, I tell you. That's what I fucking know. So now we've got to figure out the trem position. That's easy, isn't it? So we can bin that off for now. Now we know that position and that neck position, we can figure out this bit where the trem's gonna go. That's easy, isn't it? Obviously that line doesn't transfer down through, so I'm just gonna measure it. Stay with me, motherfuckers. So I'm gonna go 185 mil. I'm actually gonna go 186 because I'm well hard. So I'm now gonna fix this on. Drill through, router it out, and then do the same on the back. I need to sort out my back plate bit, don't I? Hang on a minute. So we can do that, that's easy. Fucking hell. That's easy to line up. I'll just make a note of how much overhang I've got on the back here. I'll do the same with that one so we know we're in the right spot. It's just thinking, it's just thinking. You can have a cup of tea, you can sit down, you can figure this out yourself. It's not hard. Daunting is not the same as hard. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to drill that all the way through the body and then fix the template on, and then we're going to do a shitload more routing. You don't need to see another WYSIWYG. I'll see you back here when I've done that and we'll talk about humbucker placement. Ciao for now. Whew.